So I hear this a lot. Is it better in OFM to go through salary models or percentage models? And as someone who has experience with both, I can tell you basically my opinion and the best course of action without holding anything back. Because again, you guys know that I absolutely hate these fucking OFM geeks in the YouTube space that give nothing. Like they actually give no source, no information, nothing of value to you. All right, so I'm trying to be as authentic as possible, and I hope that comes across in the videos. I'm not trying to insult anyone, I'm just saying it as it is, right? So back to the topic. For the first 2 years of my OFM journey, I was only focusing with salary models, and these are models from like Colombia and Argentina, where you pretty much pay them a monthly salary, and that used to be great. However, trying to infiltrate the US market, which has the biggest spenders, was the biggest pain, right? So going down that route, I had to do a lot of black hat methods. I had to do, for example, like dating apps, and I had to do loads of different Reddit accounts and this and that and whatever, right? Fake IGs, fake TikTok, blah, 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 and so on. And if you go down the salary route, you need to pretty much brace yourself for the fuck ton of work that's coming your way, okay? Because at the end of the day, they could blow up on TikTok, they could blow up on Instagram, right? But if their location base is like Argentina, Colombia, whatever, it's mainly gonna reach that audience, okay? And I'm not saying there isn't a way to reach the US audience, because there 100% is. Like you can switch SIM cards and do this and do that, and mobile proxies, right? But that is definitely going to be way more expensive for you guys. So the expense of just running a salary model is going to be pretty bad. And you know, it's just going to be a pain in the ass with when you wake up and all your accounts are being deleted or banned and so on. So you have to reset and restart over and over again. So with salary models, let's say, for example, you just started OFM and you're going to go down the easiest road possible, which is you go to one of these OFM marketplaces and you pretty much get yourself a model from Argentina or Colombia and so on, right? One thing you're going to face is, I'd say about 90% of these marketplaces are scams, right? They will charge you just to refer you to the model, which doesn't make sense, because you're going to pay, you're going to jump on the call with the model, she doesn't speak a word of English, and you're pretty much just going to be, oh, she's pretty enough, I'm going to sign her. Or even so, you know, maybe you get a translator or someone, and you actually speak to the model, and you feel like, yeah, this isn't actually going to work between us, like it's not actually the best route possible. But guess what? You still paid that broker that pretty much like gave you that model, okay? So you're going to be burning money unless you actually have connects. And a lot of the time as well, you're going to get fucking scammed. Like you actually haven't been in OFM if you haven't been scammed before. That's another big thing, all right? And in this space, as much as OFM is great and it can give you the lifestyle that you want, there's a lot of fucking shitty people in this business that ruin the reputation of everyone's, right? So you need to be super careful. Although the road of getting a salary model just seems easy because, you know, maybe you spent a whole week outreaching and no model's gotten back to you. So you just settle for just paying for it, okay? So now you paid for that. You have no idea how to generate traffic like a US audience, because the last thing you want is a full Spanish or Argentinian or whatever type of fans coming into that model's page. Because think about it this way, right? Why would they spend 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 on a PPV when it's common in those countries to just go out and get it in person for the exact same price, right? It's just not worth it whatsoever. So you don't want those types of fans. You want the English, you want the US, and that's going to be a fucking pain. So going from 0 to 10K with a salary model is like a billion times harder than with a percentage model from the West, like a US model and so on, okay? So in those 30 days, if you're not making money on that salary model, like how are you going to pay that salary, right? You're going to have to obviously pay them like, I don't know what it is now, maybe 1,500, 2,000 USD when you haven't even made that. So that's coming out of your own pocket. right? And that's going to put you in a very uncomfortable position where you pretty much can't afford to pay the model. And you know, now you actually have to let it go, make up excuses, and the stress is going to be overwhelming and so on. So don't go down this road. From my own experience, I've had maybe 10, 15 salary models myself, and some of them were absolutely amazing. Some are still with me to this day, but at the same time, like when you're starting out in OFM, I would not recommend it whatsoever. But what do I know? Now let's move on to percentage models. Just before we do, with these salary models, right? For example, let's say Argentina. The rate of inflation is actually ridiculous. If you actually read about that, right? Let's say, for example, you could just be paying 1,000 USD a month, right? A lot of them will pretty much just want that in the beginning. But as the inflation is climbing, right? Everything is going more expensive and people are not getting paid the same. So their actual wages are not going up. So be prepared for them to actually ask you, can I get a raise? Can I get a raise? Can I get a raise? Every single month. And that's going to pretty much like come out of your pocket, especially if it takes so long to start up, right? Now with US models and the percentage ones, it pretty much costs nothing to start up, right? The only hassle is that you have to spend the time outreaching or finding one through your network. But I promise you, once you do, and it's going to be a grueling 1-2 weeks, it might even take you a month to get on these calls with these, you know, established like US creators, and that's going to really demoralize you. You know, you're going to feel like shit, like, why is it I'm not getting any responses and I need to make money, and the panic starts to set in. However, if you would just embrace that and go through that shitty little period and you finally get one, there is absolutely zero costs on your behalf. You don't need to worry about paying a monthly salary. If it's a 50-50, it's pretty much based on what you make her, she takes half. And of course that, you know, there's a big pressure to actually perform, but it's a lot easier now. So you can actually reach the US audience. And if you go back and watch my other videos on how to actually, like, you know, do the scripts, have the chatters in place, and also do the traffic method that I showed you would actually get you from 0 to 10K, it's a piece of piss. It's fucking easy, all right? So that's basically like my opinion between salary and US models. And I 100%, if you're starting out, just spend the time on outreach, get yourself a percentage model from the US, UK, or Australia. Even though it's grueling in time-wise, I promise you it's just gonna be so much more cost efficient. The last thing you want is get excited because some dickhead on OFM YouTube videos has told you, you know, you should just get 10, 15 models off the rip. Guess what? You're in line to get fucked. You might as well bend over and take it like a good little boy, right? Because that's all that's gonna happen. Yeah, you might have money from your previous business or whatever, and you can push it into salary models and get like 5 at a time. But do you even know how to generate traffic? Like, that's the biggest thing. Everyone misses this big point, you know? So there's no point. Now, spend the time on outreach, do what you need to do, follow my 0 to 10K road. And if you're already at 10K, you can pretty much like just increase it with like ad spend and pretty much better content and so on. So it's a lot easier. And plus with these USA chicks, right, you can absolutely get referrals a lot easier to actually expand your agency. If you do well for one, she's most likely has friends and she'll get you more models. And that is pretty much salary versus percentage models in a nutshell. All right. And all these other guys who are telling you other than exactly what I just said is pretty much just bullshitting you. Okay. So keep your fucking ears closed to this stuff. A lot of it is nonsense. Anyways, if you go down to our description in this video, we have a free Telegram channel that we pretty much have loads of different guys from OFM. Some are already in the 6-figure plus, and you can easily interact with them. And we pretty much just give out like free source, free information that we don't post on YouTube. So definitely give that a check. And I also personally do a 1 free call for every single member that jumps in. And we pretty much just fucking discuss how I can actually help you in your business. So that's the time where if you're actually looking for direct answers, I'll be your man or my team will be the man. All right. So thank you for that, and don't be a schmuck.